Okay, I chose to do the Omaha Treaty of 1854 just for some of my own knowledge of our Omaha people. And my instructor is Dr. Susan. And I'm just going to do a little introduction about where we came from as Omaha people. We moved from the Ohio River Valley, and several times, other times we were moved before settling in our current reservation. We've been here since we were here since about 1700s. Um, the Omaha Treaty made this final move for us. We had a much bigger land base, which went much further south. And some of the reasons that we chose to do that were because our tribe grew really weak after the different phases of the smallpox that went through the Omaha people. And we lost many tribal members, so we weren't very strong to go at war with anybody. We were finally forced to abandon the big village up there by north of Homer around 1845, and we went to a village like closer to the Platte River. Like I said, we lived here. The Omaha tribe is a background since the 1700s. Um, my Omaha language class, I should be able to say this. Pawa Tongo Ta is the big village on the Omaha Creek, which has a marker up there, and it was our principal village until 1775. And we at one time were estimated to be around 2,000 people until the smallpox epidemic came in and wiped out a lot of our tribal members. And at one point, they said we're down to like 300 people. We moved with the buffalo, and we grew plants like maize and beans. So we did have some agriculture even before exposure to the non-natives. We had 7 clans, and we're complex with earth and sky people. And many of our duties revolved with hunting and tribal, and even leadership revolved around these clanships. Tribal leadership followed recommendations of the 1845 treaty that we must build um, modern houses and have agriculture. And they even afforded us a blacksmith at that time for a period after the Omaha Treaty. Um, Tribal leadership in their thoughts on this was that we would get out of the federal government control if we did all these things that we were told to do. So on March 16th of 1854 in Washington, D.C., um, there's a group of chiefs from the Omahas that went there, and they're all listed, and met with George Penny of U.S. Commissioner. And we have all their names: Logan Fontenelle, Joseph LaFlèche, Standing Hawk, Little Chief, Village Maker, and Noise Maker, that one, and then Yellow Smoke. Um, and one of the reasons we went and agreed to the 1854, there was other tribes at the same movement of where they were forcing us into reservations. One of the things that the Omahas looked at is it was one of their ways to get to stay in their homelands. They seen many other tribes having to leave and be put far away from home, so they thought this would be one of the better options for us. So we felt very lucky to get to stay here of what we knew of our hunting and what we were used to. And really, we could see the threat coming, and that government removal was imminent by watching the other tribes that removed, because we already lost our land in Iowa. So the federal government was moving natives to reservations. They were taking more land for settlers, is what their ultimate goal was, and they sold it to us as sounding like a better opportunity for us when really they had their own agenda on there. And then, like I said, we lost in 1830. We lost our land to that treaty in Iowa. So we knew that we were losing land. So we agreed to this, and we moved to where we currently are in 1855 and 56. And like I said, we got to remain in what we've always known to be our homeland. Um, and one of the things that the government used, and I found this and I cited from Michigan University, is land, delay settlement, and when faced with inevitable white immigration, protect the tribe insofar as possible from the consequences of settlement. So, like I said, we did our best to not be moved thousands of miles like some of the tribes were forced to Oklahoma and far away from home, the Ponca tribe. Um, we were very weak, so we knew we couldn't fight or face a war. So that's one of the reasons. Like I said again, um, and we saw other tribes that were losing their battles. But the treaties remain in law today, and we face new challenges. And one of the challenges to our land base was this Nebraska versus Parker when the liquor tax came up, and the non-natives on the other side, Western Reservation and Pender, they wanted to. The Nebraska state of Nebraska actually helped them, the Nebraska Attorney General, to fight us over this battle as tribal members, our tribe, and saying that our land was diminished. In that, one of the other arguments they use is we don't occupy that side of the reservation, so we lost it because in the Treaty of 1854 it said that we would stay on our lands. That was one of the agreements too, that we'd live there. So they took this all the way to the Supreme Court and argued that. And in March of 2016, um, our tribe won. We won this liquor taxation code that was being put in place by the tribal council at that time, and um, they said that our boundaries were not diminished, and that land still belongs to the Omaha tribe. So basically, there was Smith report that the tribe declined to exercise their jurisdiction over the land and it lost its Indian character. The Omaha tribe denies that the land lost its Indian character and argues that jurisdiction of their land was never abandoned. And I'm glad that we won that as a tribe, and that today that we have a taxation person, and that we're going to start enforcing our taxation. So we'll see what comes up from that in the future now. But this is my summary. The Omaha tribe made a treaty with the United States of America and federal government in 1854. We had no, which our leadership seen that we did not want to do, and we got to stay where we were familiar with, and we didn't have. And one of the things in the treaty said that we wouldn't make war, and we couldn't make war anyway because we were weakened from smallpox and other diseases. And the Omaha tribal chiefs wanted peace and to be free from the federal government if they did what was stipulated in the treaty. And some of those things never happened because today we're still under the federal government. The federal government owns our land. It's not truly ours. We aren't truly sovereign. And we had one challenge to it by the state of Nebraska for the people of Pender regarding the liquor tax, and they lost in the United States Supreme Court. So that verified that our land wasn't lost, our reservation diminished, and the Treaty of 1854, our land stood its ground in the Supreme Court, and those treaties today are still um, law and supposed to be good. And one of the things I learned from your class is that some of these things can change, and it depends on who is in leadership. But I thank you for your time, and I'm really nervous, but I thank you for listening to me. And thank you, Dr. Susan. You're a great instructor.
Thank you very much. Wopila Chichie, Carla. Can I ask you really quick, of the topics that we covered, what made you decide that you wanted to write about the treaty?
Um, One of the things that I talked to you about personally was my age. I'm 56 now, and we talked about how I kind of felt bad that I didn't know about my history and my tribe or even of our native people. But then we talked about how some of this is how mainstream society taught us, never taught us that in public school, how some of the trauma of things being, suppressed in us, oppression, of learning of who we are. So I'm taking this associate degree in the cultural studies so I can learn and share that with my children and grandchildren. So it don't continue that we don't know where we're from. That's why I picked this. I want to know something that I didn't know about, and I didn't know much about this actually. I just heard it a few times. So I'm thanking you guys. Your classes are really bring up a lot of emotions, but at the same time, I've learned so much from you and Carlton and even Andre in the language class. I'm really glad I decided to take this educational journey at NICC.
Thank you so much. Never would
Hmm.
have guessed this was your first PowerPoint. You did an excellent, lovely job. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how do I stop sharing? Do I just push it on the bottom now?
Yeah, you press
Let me see.
share. It should
Okay.
say stop sharing.
Okay. I think did I stop
Yeah,
sharing it
yeah,
then? Is it done?
you did. You did.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
So our next person that we have is John Big Eagle. Are you here, John? I think he had an emergency that he was had to attend. I think he must not be back yet. Okay, is Keisha Aldrich, Three Affiliated Tribes Hidatsa. There she is. Are you ready, Keisha? Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
You
I'm
ready
sorry
to
for the
present?
background noise. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the background noise. I'm actually like on my way home from Tulsa. So we stopped at a McDonald's so I can get this done.
Oh, you just made me hungry.
All right. So okay. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we can. Can you
Sure.
click full screen?
It's not.
There you go.
Okay. Um, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So excuse me. The topic I am covering today is missing and murdered Indigenous women. Some of the slogans you see there are invisible, no more, stop MMIW, and you are not forgotten. Some of the MMIW, did you know about 4 out of 5 Native American women have experienced some type of violence? Native American women were about twice as likely than white women to experience violence. Native women face murder rates 10 times the national average. The murder rate for Native women is about 3 times more than that of white women. Um, why did this topic stand out? To me, we need more awareness to stop this epidemic and save our women and children. There are 5,487 cases. More than half of those are still open cases. These cases do not get investigated thoroughly. This victim was a baby less than a year old. The eldest victim was an elder 83 years old. This topic is also personal to me. I remember that was a MMIW victim. So this kind of covers some stuff that we learned in this class, racism and politics. Intro to Native American Studies has taught us a lot about the kind of racism and politics that our Indigenous people endure. Our people are taken lightly, and politics tend to not care about us. Just like the children that went to boarding schools and suffered, they were brushed under the rug. And MIW gets the same treatment. I believe this is another way of forced removal, the reason the government don't care. Our women and children matter. It is time to take a stand against MMIW. And just an FYI, some of these, when I research some of these statistics, a lot of them are not updated. So some of them are from 2016. 2020. So that kind of, you know, tells us right there how, you know, this topic isn't shared enough. So that was just an FYI. MIWs within this era, women and children go missing every day. Within 1 year, 3 women from Northeast Nebraska were victims of MMIW. Nebraska is the 6th state with the highest MMIW count. I didn't get permission to use these young ladies' names, so I didn't want to be disrespectful and put them up there without consent. So, but I'm pretty sure we're probably all aware of who these victims are by the news or, you know, some kind of media that they were on. Traveling, I'm doing a lot of traveling for my work, and you know, when I stop for gas or something in that sort, I, you know, look around or check my surroundings because I'm, you know, I'm afraid of this. And I tell my daughters and my sons all the time, you know, watch yourselves and, you know, make sure you have something to protect yourselves. And, you know, it shouldn't be this way for us because we are, you know, we're human too. And it's not right that, you know, this can happen and law enforcement takes it lightly. Our law enforcement is corrupt. There is a movie or a film I suggest. It's on Netflix and it is called I Am All Girls. It's based off of a South African offender who was imprisoned in 1994. He was charged with the abduction of 6 girls, none of which were ever found. Also, it's about a detective. She's covering all these cases of abductions, and they're all girls. And then there's this, I would call him a serial killer, but they're killing all these perpetrators in these cases. But it just covers the it covers child trafficking, and it's all corrupt, like these government officials and everything are involved in this. So I should suggest you to tune into that. And the last part is just my sources where I got these some of these statistics from. So, and then like I said, they're not all up to date. So you can imagine, you know, how these numbers probably have climbed to date. So I hope soon there could be more awareness of this epidemic against our women and children. I thank you all for listening, and I hope you got some kind of good info out of this.
Thank you, Keisha. Can you say the name of the movie again? The video?
The film is called I Am All Girls. It's on Netflix.
Okay. And then I would like to ask you, great job, by the way. I would like to ask you, what made you decide to write about this topic too? If you want to share.
I
know it's personal and you told me why, and so I don't want to put you on the spot and make you feel like you have to share. But
well, on top of that too, I was a domestic violence advocate let's say a little bit more than a year ago. And there's just seeing, you know, some of the trauma that our own women on our reservation go through. And there's not a lot of resources for them. They, you know, they need the support from somebody. And I kind of took a compassion into it, but at a point it got to, let's see, it kind of took a mental toll on me, so I had to move on from it. But I hope one day I can, advocate more for women. So that's why I took on to this, and then plus the personal reasons.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. So the last person that I have on my list to present is Miss Megan Miller.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I'll try to share my screen here. And I do apologize if there's a little interruption or two, just if someone joins in, I'll need to get them connected here.
These are all really great topics, by the way.
Okay, can everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so for my topic, I chose to take a look at the depiction of Native American people and mascots, particularly in Nebraska. I know this is a topic that a lot of us kind of know a bit about or may have personal connections to, but I was really curious how it looks specifically in the state that we're at, especially in the Northeast, right, where Northeast Nebraska, where we have quite a few tribes represented. So I guess to get started, there's a quote I wanted to highlight from an Inupiaq woman. She said, to have this, right, the mascot, as a representation made it very difficult for people to see me for who I am. And I think that kind of summarizes this topic we're going to discuss. But I thought it was a very powerful quote. So for myself, my personal connection to this topic is that I went to school and graduated from Crofton Community School, which is in Knox County, the same county that Isanti is also in. And the mascot for my high school is the Warriors, right? And so growing up in this school, I had knowledge of the mascots, but I don't think that I fully understood the weight that they can have and the negativity. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but I know it's something that has been of special interest to me now that I've continued my own experiences as an educator, and then also as a student. I've learned a lot more about this. So, and this is actually a picture from their website that I pulled up yesterday. And the mission statement right away says, the schools is to provide a safe, protective environment where students can strive to achieve their personal best, et cetera. And we're going to take a look at what are effects of Native American mascots, and what we'll find is that it does not create a safe and positive environment. So I'm hopeful that those will be changes in the future. We'll discuss that in a minute, but most of the things shared are not necessarily my perspective. It's just research and reporting findings and things. So, but that is my personal connection. So in this presentation, we're going to discuss 4 components. First, the controversy. Second, the usage in Nebraska. Third, the effects and implications. And then fourth, the future of of Nebraska's use of Native American mascots. And so part of the controversy is you hear people wanting to keep the mascots, and they may say things like, it's honoring, or it's positive recognition, or it's an opportunity to educate others, part of a tradition, or some folks may say it's not offensive, or they may say it's not the top concern. And so, again, these are more publicly discussed opinions, which are actually not strongly research based. So we'll discuss that in a minute. But what we can also see is that people who are advocating for the removal have a lot of data in their favor, as well as a lot of experiences people have shared that are incredibly impactful. And so some of this, which we'll discuss in a little bit here, focuses on the idea that, this mascot usage is very dehumanizing. It reinforces false stereotypes. And then also it kind of perpetuates this narrative of like whitewashing history. And in addition, it also really ignores the realities of racial oppression, inequality, and genocide. And then it actually can lead to discrimination, actually, as an action itself. As far as Native American mascots in Nebraska, I found a lot of varying numbers and I could not find one specific one. But there are estimates for up to 40 non-tribal public schools. Of course, tribal schools were not included in this dynamic, very different type of representation. But they did find quite a few that I found ranged around 15 to 18 and included here, and I know the font's a little bit small because I had a bit on this slide, but you'll see there's quite a few places around Nebraska that are communities that you may hear about a lot about or you may pass through. And so these estimates are very much kind of in our backyard, if you will. Some things that I did find interesting is that Nebraska decision makers had varying perspectives on this. So one of the senators recommended using state funding to support mascot changes. One who is actually Oglala himself said that in a way mascots honor the warrior spirit and he didn't see it as a top issue. And of course, this one person who shared this was kind of a spokesperson on a lot of discussions about it. And of course, we know that, right, for example, someone who's Oglala may not have that same perspective. This is just one person's perspective. And then also Senator Hilkeman said that it should be up to the individual schools to make the decision. And this kind of came from in 2022, there was a bill that was introduced that said that they wanted to have financial support for schools swapping over, right, to be able to fund those changes because, you know, changing your logo and all those things can have costs associated. But that change didn't make it out of the committee, unfortunately. So it was kind of dropped on the spot. In response, Nebraska's advisory committee regarding civil rights decided to do a lot of studying on this, which I found really interesting, and kudos to Nebraska, looking at specifically the impacts of Native American imagery on Native students and communities. So I found that very interesting, and I'm glad they're doing that work. So some of the effects and a lot of this you may kind of have had reiterated in other classes that you've taken or work that you're doing as well. But of course, there's social, emotional, and psychologically harmful implications, right? They perpetuate false stereotypes, characters, and inaccurate representation. And there's even been discussion about sending the wrong message to all students, right? Further perpetuating the settler narratives. Also, they found that for white students using the mascots, there was increased use of stereotyping and discrimination. And again, kind of reinforcing that narrative. And then also what they found is regarding self-esteem, and this was a very interesting finding for myself from just kind of an objective data perspective, is the self-esteem dropped for a lot of Native students and it increased for white students, right? Which kind of perpetuates that historic power struggle differential. And so, yeah, we can see that increased risk of depression, suicidal ideation. And then they found that it actually increased those more than statistics, right, that may focus on historical inequities, right, and challenges in different communities. And so it's a very impactful finding. And you'll see the numbers correlate to the number of resources I found. So quite a few of them you'll see referenced in multiple places. And then also Native American teens exposed to mascots reported lower goals in self-achievement, lower sense of community worth, and also a decreased belief in community improvement. So even this idea of not believing in community change. And then one of the big things is that this idea that the effects that mascots have real implications on public attitudes, policies, and behaviors, and of course the learning environment. Which made me kind of circle back to that idea of a safe learning environment, because this really does not mirror that. So for the future of Native American mascots in Nebraska, some of the change has to do with social movements and public opinion. There was a lot that was related to the Black Lives Matter movement and having big pushes for equity. And then also financial pushes from advertisers and stakeholders. That's been a big thing that we've been seeing in professional sports, is that a lot of companies are not willing to partner and make money in that way unless changes are made. And so that may be something that we start to see even in smaller, more local levels. Additionally, some recommendations included, of course, removing Native American mascots to create an open discussion space, which a lot of folks argued could not be done unless the removal had happened. Also, there's been additional conversation about educating public schools and students on Native history and cultures, and then the importance for advocating for kids in the classroom. Folks shared personal stories about, setting the narrative correctly for their kids and having them, not engage in making, for example, at Thanksgiving, right, making pilgrim hats. And so kind of stepping in and being a part of the curriculum changes, which was really impactful. Also discussing topics with Native American educators and communities to learn about their concern, asking folks their own perspectives and opinions. And that's really what I was interested in gravitating towards. And you didn't see much of that in folks that had kept their mascots. And then also focusing on authentic relationship building with Native communities, as well as continuing research. And then this one, in addition, is from some folks I have spoken with. I didn't want to quote them without discussing it further, but this idea that Nebraska is revising some of their curriculum to be more focused on Native American representation, and really going to Native American educators to do that, I thought was really big. So in summary, in this presentation, in a short bit, we kind of looked at the controversy itself, right, which supports changing the mascots largely, and the ones in support of it are largely non-research oriented. We also looked at Native American mascots in Nebraska, which showed us a need for change, and then also mixed reactions from decision makers. We also looked at the impacts and effects of Native American mascots, which had negative impacts for Native students, and also non-Native people. And then also this idea that it can be a public health concern and also discrimination concern. And it perpetuates inaccurate narratives. So, and then finally, we looked at the future use of Native American mascots, which removal is recommended. And then with additional studies and curriculum development for awareness continuing, I'm hoping that'll be some really good changes in the future. And so this is my bibliography here. And other than that, Pidamaya, Wibaha, and thank you very much.
Excellent job, Megan. Thank you so very much. So a question for you too is, of all the topics, why this one?
I think because of the controversy of my high school, that's been a big thing, and it's so close to home. And I guess there's been a lot of discussion about changing the mascot, and I know the tribe has reached out, Isanti tribe has reached out to have some continuing conversations. And so I would like to explore a little bit more about possibly surveying, but I know that's a bigger project, but asking folks why they keep them, what research that they've done. Because a lot of times I'm not sure if folks know the tribes that are in the area, as well as particularly if there are mascots, what tribe they're from, and the history, and knowing their students. So it's very much a bigger thing, but it's very close to home for a lot of folks. So
Do you recall how much money those grants were that Nebraska was offering to give to schools if they got rid of their Native American mascots?
I don't.
It's
I would
a
be
good
curious
chunk.
though to learn more about it.
It's a good chunk. I mean, it's I want to say something like 20,000 or even more. It's like a lot of money, which is interesting considering that teachers don't, we complain, teachers, K through 12 teachers complain about not having enough money and having to buy stuff out of their own pockets for their classrooms. And here you have a grant offering to pay for this much. And I just mention all of this to you because I know that you're an educator, and I don't know if I shared with you, but at one point I had come across a video on the East Coast where, when it was coming down towards Columbus Day and Thanksgiving Day, which is always problematic for Native American families that have kids in schools, but there was a museum that opened up their space and invited teachers in for a day and shared all of this information about Native Americans that they could add to their curricula, instead of teaching the same old Columbus Day stuff or the same old Thanksgiving Day stuff. And I always thought, wouldn't that be lovely if we could do something like that over here in this neck of the woods. So I'm just throwing that seed out into the wind in case anybody's interested. But thank you so much, Megan, and thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay.
And thank you very much, Dr. Haliga. Those are students pass off right here. But I did want to double check to see if John had gotten back yet. I don't think I see him quite yet.
I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna
Okay.
make it today. He had an emergency.
Okay. But if he is able to a little later, we'll have him jump in later, so he might move some things around. But yeah, lots of great ideas I know from this group, and I've learned a lot from my fellow classmates here as well. And I love that idea of curriculum too. So I'm sure Dean Sedbeck's probably taking some notes here too. So but yeah, we're at the portion in our showcase right now where we have our Omaha language folks to continue here, Omaha Language 1. And so I'm going to pass the mic over to Professor Wainima Morris from here. And we're very excited to hear more about this class and the projects coming out of it.
Diane Wachianke, Dr. Haliga, and Diane Wachianke, all of the Santee people as well. So it's good to be here, and thank you very much for letting our students speak about their own learning. That's number one. And I just want to introduce, I don't want to take up too much time, but what I want to say, and to make a really important provide you with an important piece of information, is that this class this summer was not your typical class that we've had all along. What this class focused on was listening and speaking in as natural possible way as we could. We did not focus on reading. We did not focus on writing. What we focused on was speaking, and for sure listening. And there's great reason for this. Number one is that the Maha language, as a great many other 99% of the languages on this continent for North America, are not necessarily written. Of course, there's more in the South that did have written languages, etc. Primarily among the plains, there was no written language. And so we can feel fairly comfortable about not stressing about reading and writing. So our 6-7 weeks was spent on listening, speaking, and doing repetitive. I'll let the students talk about that when it's their turn. But we focused on, at the end of this, being able to speak Omaha. They're not fluent. They're not even proficient, but they are taking those very important baby steps towards both proficiency and ultimately, hopefully, proficiency. But that's, if we move in that direction, that's going to require some major changes academically. And we're not that, and there's a lot of other work to do should we move in that direction. So we had 4 hours of exposure every day, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for the past 6 weeks. And the summer, of course, is 7, but we as instructors and support, I don't want to say support, they were really the real teachers with our Omaha fluent speakers. The Omaha language is gendered, so we had to have a female speaker and a male speaker. And so we went to training, all of us together, and we picked up and learned a lot of techniques to do learning in a very natural method or a very natural way. And so I'm really, really proud of these students. And I also have to say thank you to Vanessa, because I was busy and stressing myself, making sure that these exercises and what we were doing in terms of listening and speaking only were fun, but at the same time challenging for the students. So she very, very willingly stepped up and signed them up for this. And at the time I thought, I don't know if they'll feel confident enough, but I have 2 here out of a class of 4. The class is small, and that's perfectly all right. It was in person, and because they have to see not only how your mouth gets formed to produce certain sounds, and all of this was confirmed up in our training. And I learned Diane Wachianke, while I was up there, which is good to see you in Lakota. And so I thought, even though I know that Santee are Dakota speakers, it's close enough. So at least for our purposes. So I want to introduce you to two students that are very brave, courageous, and I'm so proud of them. They have learned to use small phrases for eating, for calling each other to go eat. They've learned small phrases to say, where are we going? We picked a seasonal traditional food, milkweed. They knew to say noshta, which is stop. I see milkweed. And when we did, I was driving one of the vehicles, or Vanessa was, and we'd stop and they'd hop out and they'd pick the milkweed that was ready. Then we came back and we cooked it. So what I'm saying here and through these little examples is that we learned it by putting the language in context. In other words, they experienced it, and during these contextual situations, which required a number of field trips. It was both historical, but also very social. So they had to speak Omaha when we were on these field trips. And again, they're not saying like, oh, look over there, let's go over there. They're saying, stop, I see this. Where are we going? Are we here yet? I mean, so it was putting the language to use and to actually repeating, lots and lots of repetition. They can tell you they were probably sick of it. But again, this is how children learn. This is how anybody who's going to become proficient or even fluent in any language has to learn, particularly adults. It's a little more difficult. So I'm really proud of them. They were halfway through this and they signed up to do this. So please give them your attention. And here they are, my first one. Which one of you wants to go first? Okay, Amanda Hollowell will speak first. And I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to talk Omaha to you. And the lady over my shoulder here is Lana Aldrich. So they will be speaking to you and showing you what they want to talk about. Okay. Thank you.
Ebe bleak uwi ble damake. Umaha ijaji we tatak. Mihusa. Waxe is aji we tatak. Amanda Hollowell. Idadi we tatake. Robert Hollowell. Idinge. Inoha we take. Carmen Spears Hollowell Idinge. Istashinde wa ubli shane. And that's just me introducing myself. Let me introduce myself. My Omaha name is Mihusa, and my white name, my colonial name is Amanda Hollowell. My father was Robert Hollowell. My mother was Carmen Hollowell, and I'm a Stashinde clan, which is a Sky clan. And Latita Uda, it's good to see you all here. I started this class because I was on break I'm currently in nursing school, but I wanted to take something during the summertime to like keep my brain going, keep my brain functioning, just keep it active is what I wanted to do. So I thought somewhere locally, what I could do, what's something I wanted to learn, something different. It's always been my language, something to identify myself as an Omaha person, and something I could teach my children, because I know it's our language, and other people's languages are slowly being lost. And I thought, if I know a couple things, I could teach my kids that at least, and maybe it'll interest them, when they're older. And hopefully we have speakers when they're older, because we sat here and we counted them. I think just for the Omaha tribe, we only had about 15 to 20 is what we could count that fully could speak Omaha. So the first day I got here, though, I was like very overwhelming. I was really nervous. I came in here, the teachers, Arlington and Wainima, even some of the other teachers, Bina, and who weren't Omaha, were speaking Omaha. And I was like, how do they know how to speak? How do they speak Omaha and I can't speak? And it was really overwhelming, because I thought, man, how am I gonna learn this? Like, I really thought it was gonna be a hard language to learn. And I think that's something that scares a lot of people away of learning their languages, because it sounds like it's gonna be something hard. But something Arlington said when we left, he said a prayer, and he just, said that this is sacred. Your language is sacred. And if you're here, it's because you're supposed to be here. And so I took that in, and I came back the next day. And then the next day, that's when Wainima, she really talked about, what we were going to be doing. And she talked about, opening up our brain synapses. And that right there, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's why I was here, to keep my brain functioning. And I like the way that they taught it because it used all 5 senses, to be able to learn, because we were on field trips. We did cooking. We got a meal a week. So that sold me right there too. I was able to have 1 meal a week. I knew I was like, better show up. But we learned table talk. We learned how to talk at the table, how to, ask for things at the table, salt, niskide, wiwukiha, pepper, gomble. We learned how to speak, and that's something else I wanted to share with my kids. That's something easy to do because we sit at a table for our meals. That's an easy way to teach my kids as well. So that helped. And then going out, not only learning our history and the field trips of our tribe, but also being able to use our language to learn. So using, I think, all 5 senses and, seeing, touching, hearing, feeling, that really helped me to open up my brain to be able to accept the knowledge of our language. And I appreciate that from all our instructors that took their time with us.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Lana Aldrich, and she was one of the others that bravely signed up. And thank you so much, Amanda. It takes a great deal of courage to do what you're doing. You heard one of the students say that they were nervous. Well, you don't need to be, because I'm very confident in you. And if I have confidence in you, hey, you gotta have confidence in yourself. And I thank you for sticking it out with us. Lana.
Hi, I'm Lana Aldridge. I don't have an Indian name, or I don't have a clan. They say my last name's half-breed last name, but I usually go off of my mom. She's a Hamilton, and my grandmother, Vanessa Hamilton. I go off of their clan, which is the Deer clan. And I took this class because I really wanted to learn my own language and get to know like what my dad's side of the family was like and how their language was. And I took this class a few years ago, but I had to drop out. But I'm really glad that I started taking it again and learning more about my language and where my people are from. And yeah, I enjoy this class. I really don't know what else.
Do you want to say some Omaha words?
Not really.
No. Okay. All right.
Can you guys ask each other stuff back and forth, maybe? Put it between you guys.
Okay. So we, like I said, we did a lot of table talk. Hand me that salt. And then here's some of the, and we're gonna have like a conversation back and forth. Tehe shkona?
Onkuji.
Mohi shkona?
Onkuji.
Naskile shkona?
Oh.
Dwato idaro.
Oh.
Dwato idaro. What is this?
It's a fork.
Yeah.
You're nervous because she can do this.
She is.
Yeah,
She surprised me sometimes. She's being shy. Nidado shkona?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ugla.
And there's some of our table talk. And that's just me asking her, I asked her if she wanted a spoon, if she wanted a cup. Then I asked her, I think it was the fork. And I was like, what is this? So, okay.
And so you learn the difference between this and that. So shake, well, you can talk to
Shake.
Latte is when I have it close to me, which is this, and shake is
When we're looking further, then I'd be like, shake, idado. pointing. Well, it's not nice to point, but I use my lips.
And we learned that too, so. So that we know how to do, and I thank both of you ladies for being able to do this. I still stumble on my own Umaha introduction, and I want to say that you did fabulously well. And I know Lana knows this, but she's just a little nervous. She's also very quiet. So I thank you both though for participating and being willing to basically show, what we did in this class. So I had two additional people who supported what we were doing and were with us just about every single time that we met, helped us with our field trips, our learning trips, and were there to support and do everything. So I want to thank Vanessa for getting them signed up for this. That's one. And then also thank you, Lonnie, for always being there. Lonnie sat in, and the students even included her when we were doing table talk. And they even included her, and she wasn't quite prepared at the time, and they corrected her. So that was showed me that it's being internalized. Are they fluent speakers? No. What we're doing and showing and sharing with great pride, at least on my part, is to prove a point that that when you learn a language, you have to learn it in the easiest way possible, and that's to listen. And we haven't been doing much listening. We're jumping right into reading and writing. So in order to turn that around and to sort of prove my point that we have to listen, and then you speak. And by speaking, you have to repeat. They had to say some words here 80 times each before the synapse would fire. And so we would go through it, and it was boring, but they got through it with me, and we persevered. And this is how you learn a language. It's got to get in, because we're adults. So it's going to be you're going to have a few more hurdles to jump over, and where young children don't. So Vanessa and Lonnie, if you've got anything to add to this, you're certainly welcome to do so, and you can jump in. And when they do, then we're through with our presentation. I want to thank all of you faculty for listening to us, and I hope that you're as proud of these students as I am. And we need to. The other thing, one more thing, is that language is the cornerstone of nation building. Without that language and the culture, nation building is always going to be remote. It's always going to be on someone else's terms, not our own. So we absolutely need to take these steps, and the college, I think, is supporting us in this way. We've got that 4-year degree, business administration and nation building. So what's the cornerstone for nation building? Language. So all the other courses that we teach regarding Native Americans in general as well, but more specifically for Umaha. So I really appreciate all the efforts, and we finally got to this class, kind of a pilot course for learning Umaha in a natural way. Listening. Okay, so I'm done.
Quick.
Oh, okay, sure.
Hello, my name is Lonnie Moran Samqua. I'm a student / employee here at the college, but I have taken all the Omaha language classes, and I really see a big difference as to, I wish we had this when I was taking the language, because there's more interaction, more activity. We were just sitting there and having one person say this, counting, doing that. And here it's, for me, I'm a audio kind of visual learner. So when we're sitting there having, for example, the tabletop, we're using stuff that we use every day: salt, pepper, plate, fork, knife, cup, coffee, and being able to do that when they're asking, do you want coffee? Yes or no, or it just made it more, for me, just watching them. Seeing when they first started, like when they came in, they were just like deer in the headlights. You'd ask them questions, and they'd kind of look at you and look around, and I was like, I wonder what they're looking at up there. But to see them now, to be able to talk, and and say it. And so like when we go up, I'll pop in a question, ask them, and then they'll respond to me. And so to me, I just see more of a progress in what we had in these past few 8 weeks than we did in a whole semester course. And so seeing that, how would you say, that process and thinking outside the box and taking our language outside the box and doing it our own way. And like when I talked to Wainima about this, I said, you know, we're Umahas. We're always going to go against the current. I said, so let's take this against the current and do it our own way. Let's, you know, because these other ways aren't working for us. And so let's do it this way. And you can definitely see from day one till now, there's a big difference, and you can see that in them. And then just the ladies having confidence in themselves and taking the language back from the internet and making it an in-person class, so that way they can actually see it, hear it, they can laugh, you know, and if somebody makes a correction, they see that person's face, so they're not being scolding or they're not being mean, because on the internet you don't necessarily know what they mean if you're not being able to see their face. Or if they, like me, I accidentally hit the caps, and then I'm start typing in caps, and I've had people say, Lonnie, are you upset about something? And I'm like, no. And then I was like, oh, I got the caps on. And so just having it in person and seeing and also acknowledging that humor is a part of our language. So that makes a big difference. And also with facial expressions, i.e. the lip fake, and then using your hands. That's a big part of it that for me helps. And when you say Gia, and if you don't have that facial expression or you're not using that hands like Gia, that means like come here. So I'm really proud of these ladies that did this, and I'm hoping that we can move forward with this type of teaching. So that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Hey.
Shayna.
Okay, I just want to say that I was with the group, Lonnie, Wainima, Karen Tyndall, Arlington Sanssouci, Mike Tyndall. We all went as a group up to North Dakota, and they taught us what they call TPR, total physical response. So that when you teach a language, you do it in context. And they, talked a lot about repetition. And like Lonnie said, when we were learning it, I wish, we had a class like that. Because one of the main things that I hear from our elders is that they can't talk to other people. They can't carry on a conversation in Omaha. And like I said, I took Omaha before, but to actually sit down with like Elvina Webster or one of those, I can't. It's like a little kid trying to talk to a high schooler. I couldn't get all the sentences out. I could get the general thing of what I wanted to say, but, and this class taught these ladies, how to actually have a conversation. And it also brought us, closer, because like Lana said, she's my granddaughter. And when we went to Pipestone, I was able to tell her about her great grandfather, that he went to boarding school up there. And I told her, what he had told me about things. And then Wainima also talked about when she went to school there. And we went to the old campus, and she pointed out where different buildings were and where the one lone building still stands. And, just that kind of thing, you wouldn't have got that in any other class. So, I think this was a really good pilot program. I'm hoping that we get to do it again. And as Timiha Pry taught me a long time ago, if it's not on paper, it didn't happen. So I was the one that, kind of like made sure that, they kind of had some check-ins and stuff. So I know the students groaned when they heard like, pop quiz or, whatever. But, for administrative purposes, that way we could keep track of it. And when Wainima does her report, then we can show them that there was actual results from this. So, I'm just happy that we had this class, and I was happy to be a part of it. Shana.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. And we had 4 students, but we had, very importantly, the support of the community, and they're buying into it. The actual methodology here is immersion, but it's not full immersion. We had to use English. And total physical response is one of the characteristics of immersion. And so, but I don't use that word. For some reason, the community does not like that word, so we're calling it the natural way of learning language. But yeah, without the help and support of Lonnie and Vanessa, and of course our 2 experts, which were the female speaking of the language by Karen, which she provided, Karen Tyndall, and the male speaking side. Whether or not we had any male students, we had to make sure that the female hears how the male says certain things, and vice versa. So at first we were getting a little confused because we didn't have our female speaker on board. Any Omaha that was fluent that wanted to come up for the females as well as the males. And Arlington seemed to be the one that stuck with us. So we didn't have to worry about finding another male speaker. So yeah, so it's, I'll be writing up my impressions. The students are going to write impressions of this class, what they learned, whether they felt that that it was worth it. It was push, it was intense. 4 hours. I remember one day Amanda said, I said, okay, that's it. Bye. And no, I thought we had 30 more minutes. No, we're done. 4 hours is enough. So that also made me feel good, because it meant that they're learning and they forgot all about the time. So 4 hours out of whack, it sounds really daunting. And I suppose it can be, but when you're learning something and you're busily engaged in whatever activity you do, it becomes fun. And that's, that's not the goal, but that's one of the side benefits. So with all the help that we got, I did not do this alone, but I had plenty of help. And with the students, yeah, it was just an experience for the summer. And I actually felt a little bittersweet yesterday when it was over and they were done and they left. And so I felt a little lonesome. But thank you, everyone, for hearing us out. And hopefully we can follow this up with another, maybe not the summer, but maybe we can build it into a semester approach. And that's what the students have asked me. Lana asked that. Are we going to do this in the fall? And I don't think so, because we'll have to build the curriculum even more so. I mean, there were many lesson plans that we had to do. So, I mean, the whole academic side of teaching, of course, also enters into this as well. So, Wiblaha, Mitakia, Eya, Oyasa.
Thank you everyone so much. 1 second here. Oh, here we go. Okay, sorry. Thank you so much. I am so excited to hear what you guys have been up to and to be able to see it, right? See it and hear it, just amazing. So thank you very much for sharing. We are now at the tail end of our student showcase. And before we get going, I do want to share with you all a little bit more of the back end stuff of kind of at NICC, how we, like why we have certain events, right? And so I'm going to share my screen with you all real quick, and we will talk about how this event is an event that focuses on reciprocal communication, which is one of our kind of letters in our tribal acronym that focuses on NICC's goals. And so I'm going to share this video with you that features a familiar face. And this will kind of be our way to conclude, and also for us to think about how reciprocal communication functions for us as an institution with our students and in our classes. And I definitely think the course that y'all shared with Omaha Language, it sounds like there's a lot of amazing pieces of that there. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and
The reciprocal communication attribute considers the concept of reciprocity in every aspect of communication we engage in, when given, felt, or done in return, including the emotional experience, nonverbal, and emphasizing form, degree, and timing. It includes all traditional communications between two or more individuals. In my time here at NICC as a student and staff member, I have worked with elders for their knowledge. I give them tobacco, and in return, they give me teachings that we can archive and give to the community.
And once again, thank you, Vanessa, very much for doing this video and for the work that you did in the Omaha language class as well. A big thank you to everyone who helped put this together, all of our instructors, and then also, sorry, my video kept going in the background. But thank you to all of our instructors, folks who put curriculum together, collaborators, and most importantly, our students. So without y'all, we would not be doing the things that we're doing. And truly the work that you do is such a huge, beautiful thing for yourselves, all the rest of us, and your communities as well. And we are incredibly proud of all the work that you do too. So thank you very much. Everyone have an amazing weekend coming up. And Pinamaya, Weeblaha, and we will see you soon.